Hey guys, it's Fel. Today's video is going to be kind of a different sort. Completely unscripted today, just sort of a ramble. I found myself in an unusual situation lately where I have a lot of free time on my hands, but also a lot of responsibility, obligation, you could say. So while I'm taking care of stuff in my day-to-day, I find myself with a lot of sort of ambient time to just think as I work. And I've had a lot of thoughts, and I've had so much intention to put out videos about all sorts of different things, specifically about Elden Ring, but also about other things as well. And it's hard to find the time, right? Because making videos takes time, and even when I do have the time and I put something out there, sometimes it can be sort of simple, on the simple side. I haven't released a commentary for a good little while since I think my last one was the Irithel Rapier video. And even that was sort of off the cuff. But yeah, I've been thinking lately, especially today, about finding fulfillment in places that you wouldn't expect to. And I have a long sort of history of this on either side of the aisle, where it's I shouldn't expect to find fulfillment out of X, but sometimes I do. Or sometimes I think this will be more fulfilling, and it isn't, right? And there's a lot to it, right? Where it's you go into a hobby, for instance, let's say playing the Dark Souls games, and you don't think much of it at first, but over time it is sort of a captivating thing, right? And I think most people would be able to sympathize with that, especially the people who watch my content. I don't think it's exaggeration to say that playing Dark Souls was kind of life-changing. But not just because it's a really good game, but because of what was around it, the context, right? And Dark Souls is just something I picked up because I happened to get a PS3 handed down from a family friend in 2016, and it was a game that I had my eye on. A personal friend of mine from middle school all the way up till now, one of my lifelong friends, he recommended it highly. We're just talking about it with him actually the other day. Finally got the chance to play it, and it really was so much more than I expected. And it ended up having a lot of personal meaning for me because it's basically, I played a bit of Zelda earlier in my life. I didn't actually grow up on Zelda, but it's something that I got into when I was late high school, early college, and it really was the most captivating gaming experience I had up to that point. But playing Dark Souls was something else because it wasn't just a game, it was also probably my first real exposure to the genre of dark fantasy, right? And so that comes with a certain amount of weight to it. It's a genre that has a lot of captivating themes, a lot of themes that speaks to the frailty of man, right? The darkness and the difficulty of being alive, right? But also the subtle beauties, the small things that make life captivating. So that obviously spoke to me on a personal level, but also I slowly started to use Dark Souls as an avenue to create connections, and it's something that in particular was something that I've always found challenging. Growing up, just to tell you a personal anecdote, growing up I was the shy kid. I was the chubby, shy kid. And it was really by luck that I ever made any really close friends. And I thank those friends to this day, because in middle school, two other kids in class basically reach out and decide that they wanted to be friends, and we're friends to this day. They're basically my brothers. They are my family in a sense. But moving on, graduating from high school, moving on to college, a whole different world, having to reforge those social connections and friendships, and trying to, meet new people and form those connections again. I found myself kind of lost, without grounding. And it wasn't for the fact that I didn't have anything to talk about. It wasn't because I didn't have interest in meeting people. It's that I was never comfortable reaching out to people and asking for that social connection, because we were put in a situation in college where, right, you're sort of uprooted, and people find friendships out of their survival instinct, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You're completely uprooted, and you need to find friendships to survive in a social sense, but also in a material sense, right? You sometimes need people to rely on when things go wrong. You need notes from class, lock yourself out of your dorm, X, Y, and Z, so on and so forth. And I always felt bad trying to make friendships out of obligation. And so I found myself in college completely stalled out socially. I like people, and I liked people back then. I wanted to learn more about them and form connections and form friendships, but it's something that always, I had that doubt in the back of my head. Am I doing the right thing? Am I using people to basically, is it selfish of me to ask for social connection out of this survival instinct, right? It didn't feel like I was approaching the table with anything to offer them, right? It didn't feel like it didn't feel like sort of a give and take properly, because to me, the value of making that friendship was so incomprehensibly important that I didn't think that anything I could offer could even match, right? Long story short, I was sort of afloat for a while, out at sea. Not a lot of friends to speak of for a while, aside from the ones that I held from, those two guys I met back in middle school. God bless their souls. So fast forward to, further on in my life, I developed certain hobbies like playing video games. I've done it since I was a kid, but especially Super Smash Brothers. That was sort of my game of choice. That's how we spent time together growing up with my friends. I moved on to Zelda for more of my solo gaming experiences. It's actually, on that note, it's actually kind of funny that Super Smash Brothers and Dark Souls were my two big interests in games, because they both kind of share a similar weird DNA in that they're games not intended for skillful, meaningful PvP experiences, but Smash Brothers was originally intended as a party game, and to an extent it still kind of is a party game. But at the same time, people find a lot of meaning in it as it's also basically a fighting game, with all the skilled PvP experiences you can get out of that kind of game. And I find myself in a sort of funny, similar situation with Dark Souls, where it's this is a solo experience, right? This is a solo, deep, dark fantasy experience. But also, it's this phenomenon where it's so beloved as a cult classic that it draws people in from all walks of life, and it's also ends up being a multiplayer experience that you can share with those people. And I branched out. I started reaching out over forums and, the inevitable Reddit accounts. I became a diehard Sunbro. If you ever see me on the Dark Souls 2 subreddit, I have that flare, those customizable little flares you can get. Mine was do it for the newbies, because I loved the idea of like sharing the Dark Souls 2 experience with new players and try to give them the best introduction they can to the game. But all that to say that Dark Souls became fulfilling in a way that I didn't anticipate. In a way that sort of let me fulfill one of those tiers on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know what I'm talking about? On the higher levels, getting that social fulfillment. It's basically a launching off point for forming relationships with people, you know, and at the end of the day, I think that's probably the best thing you can say about a game. You know, and getting on an even more personal note, it's actually playing Dark Souls 2 is actually how I met my significant other, you know, the person who I'm probably going to spend the rest of my life with. And I think I've mentioned it here and there, you know, to different people, but I've never come out and flat out said it. But yeah, I mean, that playing Dark Souls was like how I found myself where I am today. That's how I found myself living here. That's how I found my partner. It's, you know, obviously I have my YouTube channel, which is not really a runaway success or anything, but it's sort of like a way I've expressed myself to the community and sort of like given myself a pretty small but meaningful little platform where I can sort of ground my, you know, my relationships with people in the Souls sphere. But yeah, when it comes to hobbies and relationships, I found that a lot of the times you do find fulfillment in places where you don't expect it. In places where sometimes nobody else even expects it, right? Like, I don't think Miyazaki expected to make Souls games and have them be like the groundwork for people's social lives, right? I don't think that was ever his intent. I think he was all more about the fleeting experiences, the small, meaningful, but not long-lasting relationships you form with people you meet in the ambient online multiplayer. But in that same way, it kind of also made me think about this channel. How growing up, I had a few little hobbies here and there. You know, growing up, I was an avid reader. I used to obsessively read books and reread books, and sometimes books that, you know, my parents wanted me to read, the Moby Dick and Great Expectations and all the literary classics, but I was more about like fucking Redwall and Series of Unfortunate Events and books that they were happy I was reading, but not their preferred material. But all that to say, talking about creative hobbies, I feel like I have a lot of pent up creative energy, but oftentimes in my life I found myself incapable of expressing it in a satisfying way, right? It's something that you have to hone. You know, if you want to be a musician, you have to practice your instrument. You know, I was in band growing up, but I never practiced. You know, I never went out of my way to seek that out. If I practiced, it was out of a sense of obligation. Because, you know, my parents telling me, like, you have to sit at the goddamn keyboard and practice your piano because you're going to have a lesson at some point, and we don't want you to embarrass us. So it was always a situation where it's like, this is like a chore for now, but in the future you're going to be happy that you bothered to learn the piano. And lo and behold, when it became obligatory instead of creatively fulfilling, I dropped it, and I haven't really played it since. In retrospect, they're totally right. You know, being able to play piano probably really, really nice, but it just wasn't fulfilling, right? Not at the time, surely not. But growing, you know, as I was talking about in my college experience, not having all the relationships with people that I wanted to, I ended up, you know, focusing so much on my studies. You know, I did well in college for that very reason. But I had that creative energy that I wanted to express in a way that was fulfilling, that was meaningful, and sort of a sincere expression of my soul, me as a person. But I didn't have the means to do it. So at one point I set out to try to learn some creative abilities. I was never good at drawing, but I decided to try to pick up Photoshop. So I acquired it through perfectly legal means, absolutely legal means. And I practiced Photoshop. And eventually I was like, I like this sort of direction I'm going with the visual art. Like, and when I say Photoshop, I mean fucking like, I edited memes or did like fun edits of my friends' photos on Facebook, just to give them a laugh. I just wanted to entertain people and sort of like express that side of myself in a way that was also helping me learn a new hobby. And eventually, going into playing Dark Souls, I was really captivated by the idea of there being a sort of a Souls scene on YouTube, a place where people shared clips, but also shared discussions of the game, what it means to them, what it means in general, the Vati lore enthusiasts. And I couldn't shake the feeling that that's something that I wanted to try as well. And there's a particular video that I had in mind that actually inspired me to actually create a channel. And it's not what you would expect, but once I tell you, I think it's going to make sense. It was an old video from Dark Souls 1. I don't even remember who made it, but I believe the title of the video is I Have 161 Poise. And it was nothing but a session of duels by a guy wearing full Havels. But there was something about it that was so aesthetically captivating, in a way that I think sort of has echoed in my videos. It's just a guy playing Dark Souls, like doing duels in full Havels armor, but it's like the recording is really bad and like super echoey, and so the crunchy sound effects of the armor like echo through this awesome like reverb, and the clincher for me was that they were playing a soul or a jazz song in the background. That was the background music for the video. And something about that weird combination of souls and jazz like activated a part of my brain where it's like, wow, this is really something. I want to do something like this. Lo and behold, in 2019, I think I gave myself a New Year's resolution that I would start a YouTube channel and that I would make videos. And my goal was, at the end of the year, I would hit 100 subscribers. And here we are today. That's just the start of a little journey. And creating videos for Dark Souls 3 was sort of like a way to map out my journey through the game. It was the first time that I had really delved into invading, and I was so interested in exploring that side of the game and exploring how I learned and developed as a little diary for myself, basically. But then I also wanted to focus on the people that I met through the game as well. The little encounters you have in these games are so fun, especially in the older games, as in Dark Souls 3 too as well. I'd say Dark Souls 3 is probably the best game for that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean that's the kind of the crux of the matter is it ended up forming a surprisingly fulfilling creative hobby. Because it sort of ties together so many aspects of my interests, right? It's not just a video, it's me playing Dark Souls, and Dark Souls means so much to me. But also it's me expressing this growing attempt to express my creative energies, developing some sort of visual art. Speaking so highly of my own work as if it's worth anything, really. At the end of the day, it was mostly just kind of mediocre, kind of fun little montages that I would make. At the end of the day, there's really nothing more to it. until I made that pig and poker video. That was really sort of my big burst onto the scene. The video that everyone can point to and say, like, that's the video that made him a one-shot wonder. the one hit wonder. That's what I meant to say. That the one video that did well and was actually worth a damn. Not to denigrate myself or anything. Like, I do like my older videos, but at the end of the day, I feel like that pick and poker video is one that everybody could point to and say, like, this is fell, right? And I want to, if I had the time, right? I don't really have the time to sit down and work on the videos much anymore. If I had the time, if I had the energy, maybe that's the kind of content I would make more often. But it requires so much more work than you'd think, right? And the fact of the matter is, as I grow older, I don't really have that kind of time anymore. But the thing is, it's not because I don't care, right? I care perhaps too much because these games mean so much to me, and the people that I've met through these games, God, the creative energy that goes out into the internet. Dark Souls 3 was just really something else. I've met so many incredible people through that game, and it really deserves some credit for that, for creating a space. Even if it was not the developer's intention, it was really something special. Whether it's like, Saint bursting onto the scene, giving everybody a second lease on life in terms of invasions, right? Everybody congregated around the teachings of Saint Riot to try to give Dark Souls 3 Invasions a chance to grow and thrive and grow into their own unique thing. And so much of the invasion scene comes back to that point of Saint Riot sort of giving us a different appreciation for the mechanic. Whether it's people like Saint or like Schwa Akari. I recently made that cosplay build because I love Schwa's work so much. That the genuine creativity that comes out in her work is truly something else. But it doesn't have to be just like the artistic creative types or the Saint Riot instructional types. But like, once you develop an appreciation for the mechanics of the game on a deeper level, there is art to be found everywhere. Like, I was just thinking the other day, God, do you remember Might Be Bob? Everybody loves Might Be Bob. Like, I was just thinking the other day about his swaps. Not like Fisher swaps, but like mid-combat swapping from off-stock to off-halberd. That was like his sort of defining trait. It's so incredible to me, like the small microscopic ways you can express your identity through like your play style and your unique take on things through these small mechanics, right? It's like that's there's so much beauty to be found in that. It's so expressive. And that exists to this day in Elden Ring. It's just I don't know if I love the game deeply enough for that to really delve into the microscopic mechanics like that and learn to appreciate people's art, right? But part of the reason why I wanted to make this video is because while I am not in a space right now where I have the time, energy, or necessarily the motivation to go out and experiment with all these new builds and put out more commentaries, I do have one in the works, but it's not related to Elden Ring. It's a Dark Souls 3 thing. That might probably going to be my last Dark Souls 3 video, but I'm going to really put my all into it. And it'll come out at some point, maybe in 2025. But yeah, like part of the reason I want to make this video is because I just finished watching Pure Platinum Prin's latest video. Now, Prin is somebody who I talk to on the regular through Rofo the Gurm's Discord. We're frequent visitors to that Discord, and we chat it up all the time about different things that we've experienced in Elden Ring and talking about the Souls games in general. And it's another one of those interesting situations where it's like, I don't know him in real life, and I don't know if we, I wouldn't say that we're like on the level of like IRL friendships or anything like that, but his work means a lot to me, and I think that he's a really interesting person. And his latest video sort of captured my heart in a way that a lot of those best creatives in Dark Souls 3 used to, right? I reminisce all the time about Schwa Akari and the Akari Chronicles as like such a meaningful piece of creative work in that game. And I felt that in his most recent video about his Geomancer build. It's something so creative, so unique, but it's not just the build, it's also the way that he sees it, right? Like the way that he ties together the mechanics of the game into a greater appreciation for casting as sort of an expressive art form, and also tying it into like the real world, like talking about like the little part where he talks about like geomancy and the occult, like it's really something unique, right? And that's not like 99% of content creators right now are not doing stuff that is unique. Saint Riot has a great appreciation for Elden Ring, and I respect it and I envy it. And he's doing some great stuff. I really respect his grind right now. But in terms of the stuff you see online, like mag duels, invader one-shot builds, top 10 most OP glitches in Elden Ring. Like, we're left in this sort of neglected space where the people who get the most success are the people who are making the most shallow content, and we don't have a lot of energy coming from FromSoft to try to mix up the creative sphere. So like, how can you even blame these people for making shallow content when it's like, I don't know, it's like, what are we getting from FromSoft to kind of mix up the content metagame? There's not much interesting to say about Elden Ring if you're not willing to put in the work to delve into something really creative like Prin has lately. And so I just wanted to make this video to talk about all sorts of things, but I also want to give a special shout out to Prin, because I think as of right now he is probably my favorite Elden Ring content creator, and he doesn't get enough love or enough credit for the stuff he does, because it's not about just the builds, it's not just about the skill in the casting, it's about the outlook, it's about the interpretation, the analysis, he brings himself into his videos. There's a part of it that's technical, there's a part of it that's metagame centralized, like where he talks about like grander theory and grander strategy, but it's also a piece of his attitude. It's the funny quirks of it, like his personality, and his other interests in life that he brings into his videos. It's something that I could aspire to, but I don't know if I would ever achieve. I see my role in the space, if I could be so charitable as to give myself a role in the space, I see my role as more, I think I aspire to be more of an educator. I take my experience that I had in Dark Souls 3, and I try to share it with people, share the way that I see the game. But the fact of the matter is, I don't have the time or energy to really make that kind of stuff the way I want to. And so it's kind of suffocating when you think about, this is a sphere of my life where I found a surprising amount of fulfillment, tying it back to what I was talking about earlier. My channel has been very fulfilling, and it's a shame that I don't have the time to kind of put out the work that I can look back on and really be proud of as an honest and creative expression of self, right? A lot of it's just been random clips set to, decent music. I can at least give myself some credit there. I like the music that I put in my videos. But it's not like pick and poker level of like, I'm going to really dive into this and express a part of my playstyle and a part of my identity while also trying to educate people, right? that's an energy that I don't receive from Elden Ring that I also don't put into Elden Ring, due to both internal circumstances and also, life circumstances. But it's something that I hope to at least do a little bit more of in the future when I do have the time. I've been working on my last Dark Souls 3 video for a very, very long time now. Unfortunately, life has been kind of hard lately. Work stuff, life stuff, we recently were evicted. It's kind of shitty. Life has not been particularly kind, but it hasn't been incomprehensibly awful either. Like, there have been a lot of good things that have happened lately. But basically, ever since quarantine, life's been pretty hard. And at times it's frustrating to look at Elden Ring and be like, here's a game where if this had come at a different time in my life, maybe this would be just what I needed, right? An interesting and creative space for me to really stretch my legs and do something worthwhile. Unfortunately, I don't really have that kind of mentality or space in my life at this moment. But I hope to do more with it. And I hope that the game gets the love it deserves from Software. I don't know why I said it like that. I was going to go say FromSoft, but I decided to say From Software. I hope From gives the game a chance to shine. But if we're going to be completely honest, I don't expect it to really reach the heights of Dark Souls 3. And it's not just FromSoft's fault there, because I think that the Souls sphere has changed so much over Dark Souls 3's 6 years of life. People played the game at the end of its life like it was a completely different game than the way that they played it in 2016. And it's not because of in-game patches or anything. It's just we as a community have developed skills and attitudes that were simply not intended by From Software. It was never meant to be a skill-based PvP game, but in a sense, even though FromSoft didn't intend it, it kind of is a surprisingly skill-based game. Right? Like Saint Riot will say, it's not an Evo-worthy game or whatever, but at the end of the day, if you make an asymmetrical multiplayer where the person who's fighting the other like the person who stands alone and fights multiple players at once is not given, it's not like Dead by Daylight, right? You're not like a killer with a bunch of survivors fighting. You're given the same tools ostensibly as the multiple people you're fighting. So really the only defining factor between a person who can stand alone and fight a group, the only thing that sets them apart and gives them an edge over multiple other players is PvE and skill. And at the end of the day, after 6 years of playing Dark Souls 3, it's inevitable that the player base will become skilled in a way that FromSoft probably didn't anticipate. And so with that critical technical eye and awareness of mechanics and inherent game skill, this player base was always going to be a bit critical of Elden Ring, because FromSoft can't catch up to a player base that's been playing their games every day for 6 years, right? Because, there are a lot of players who have been playing Dark Souls 3 for almost 6 years straight without many breaks, and they can't really match that energy. But all that to say, Dark Souls is really something special. It's surprising and heartening, but also kind of funny how much fulfillment it has brought to my life. And I don't want to feel embarrassed about that. I don't want to feel ashamed in any way. I've put probably a bit too much time into this hobby in my life, but it's also given a lot back to me. I don't know if Elden Ring is going to sort of fill that role for me, but it might not need to, right? Maybe part of aging is taking those old hobbies and still appreciating them, but maybe not expecting the same things out of them. All that to say, I hope you guys are doing well. I just wanted to post a random sort of rant, unedited, unscripted, recorded in this, very empty room I still haven't furnished because we had to move. And yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope this meant something to you. Hope you found something to connect to. I love you guys. Like a surprising amount, you know? I just want you guys to be well. Life is hard. I've been watching a lot of Joel Haver lately, if you guys know him on YouTube. And that guy's sincerity is something to aspire to. And it's something that I've kind of tried to cultivate in the way that I talk to people in the soul space. Like, I'm getting to that kind of age where I just want to be sincere with people. I'm not trying to crack any funny business. I'm not being a sarcastic asshole. That's, you know, most of the time at least not. I'm just trying to be sincere. I'm just trying to express who I am and what I do. And I hope that I can do great things, or at least to the best of my ability, when I have the time and energy to do it. And I hope to see other people make great things too. You know, I want to see Dang a Jam out there. I want to see Prin out there. I want to see Rofo the Gurm out there. I want to see all these other incredible people, just like all around the world. No Name. God, I love No Name. Like, I want to see No Name make more stuff as well. I want to see Elden Ring be the kind of game to inspire that creativity and fulfillment from people. Putting art out there, you know, putting themselves out there. Because what else do we have, right? You know, it's all about expressing yourself and leaving a mark and kind of putting a stamp of yourself out into the universe, right? Forgive me for sounding like a fucking hippie, but I'm gonna blame Joel Haver for that one. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna stop it there because Jesus Christ, this is super long. I just wanted to say hi and give you guys a check-in on how I'm doing, what I've been thinking about lately. Also, I miss I Am Amish. I was just watching some of Amish's stuff. God, I miss that guy. Just so many incredible people. Anyways, I have to go make dinner. Y'all excuse me. I hope you've found something in this. It's not my usual stuff, and I don't think I'm going to do it again, but I hope you guys are well. And enjoy Elden Ring for what it is. Take breaks. Don't take it too seriously. If you're an invader and you're getting frustrated with invasions, try dueling. It's actually kind of fun. Just don't summon the shitters, and you'll have a great time. Alright, that's it. Y'all have a great day. I love you guys. Thank you so much for following and watching my stuff whenever I do post stuff. And I'm hoping when I do release that final Dark Souls 3 video that it'll be good, and I really hope you guys watch it and enjoy it. Because good fucking God, I put so much time and energy into this video, and it's not even done yet. Months and months and months of work. And I hope it's good. I hope it's worthwhile. But that'll be a long time coming. But it's not going to come out anytime soon. I still have a lot of work to do on it. So, catch you guys later. And have a good one. Bye.